heavy snowfall in KwaZulu Natal, not only leaving motorists stranded, but also livestock in danger. The impact of such natural disasters untold, of course, for the agricultural sector. So let's speak now to Wandile Sihlobo, Chief Economist from the Agricultural Business Chamber. Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. I mean, these harsh weather conditions, for example, are not ideal for the farming community. Have you been able to get a sense of the impact the weekend weather has had on the sector in some of these provinces?
You're right. This is not ideal for the livestock, cattle, sheep, both. What we've been able to establish so far is that our colleagues in the dairy industry have been struggling with a number of things. For example, just the movement of the milk out of their facilities where they're supposed to be processed. And we also understand...
Mr. Sihlobo, pardon me for coming in there. If I may, your line at the moment is just distorting somewhat. We can hear bits and pieces of what you're saying. I'm going to ask if we can try to get you back on a better line so we can then be able to hear what you're saying, because what you're talking about is very important, especially when it comes to the issue of logistics for, the dairy farm produce as well, for transportation, but at the same time, livestock, at the same time, summer crops. Some of us are wondering what the impact may be there. But let's take a short break and then back straight after. Hopefully we get you on a better line. All right, let's take you back now to this conversation. Heavy snowfall in KwaZulu Natal, not only leaving motorists stranded, but also livestock in danger. The impact of such natural disasters is untold for the agricultural sector. Let's discuss this further now with Wandile Sihlobo, Chief Economist from the Agricultural Business Chamber. I do hope it's a better line to you, Wandile, this time round. So let's talk about, what you were telling us. Of course, the harsh weather conditions not being ideal for the farming community. Have you been able to get a sense of the impact when it comes to the weather and what it's done for the sector?
In terms of the numbers, we don't have a conclusive view of saying what's the actual cost. But what I do want to highlight is that in the area of the Midland, we also have a large dairy farming activity taking place there, which involves then the movement of produce from the farm almost daily. And there are two aspects that are a challenge for the folks there. One is supply, where they've experienced power failures in some of the regions. Secondly, just the movement of produce in and out of farms. That has been one of the challenge. And the second part is also around the feed, particularly also for the small holding farmer, and even some that are on the commercial farming side. Although in terms of the cost, it's very difficult at this moment to assess that. Something that we think in the coming days we will be able to have a clearer view.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you, if possible, just to bring your mic closer, just so we can be able to hear a bit more, because this also, as we were speaking to some of those who are monitoring the situation here, they talk about climate change and the fact that this is a reality now, because some of these natural disasters, for example, are now becoming more frequent and more devastating. What would you say, for example, is the impact of this, especially on smallholder farmers who are then finding themselves having to make do with what they have?
I think for smallholder farmers, one of the major concerns, you look at their animals, they always, in terms of health, not as super fit as one would like to see their livestock. And then there are the needs of feed on that. And even if we were to say, look, let's try to get the feed in KZN from various people, that would have been difficult even with that. Which is why I think that as a country, we have to be thinking about to say in future, as we will continue to experience some of the disasters with climate change, how should we be thinking about our agricultural systems? That may involve planning, that may include farmers having to store a certain level of feed close to themselves so that in times like this, we are able to assist in those cases. But I think there is also a long conversation that must be had about South Africa in this new era of climate change, to say these are things that we should do for livestock. How should we be thinking about even on the crop farming side? Because in crop farming side, we have experienced a climate change related event different from what is happening now in terms of the snow, but rather drought in the northern parts of the country earlier this year, which too has led to a devastating effect in terms of farmers' output. So these are all of the cycles that we are beginning to see. And I think we have to try to come up with a strategy the climate-smart agricultural practices that to a certain extent proves us against some of these shocks that I think in future may continue to come every now and then.
And as a final question then, when it comes to October, how are things shaping up when it comes to the sector?
I think that's one of the optimistic points that we have, because from mid-October, the summer crop season for the 2024-25 starts. You will see that the farmers in the eastern regions of South Africa will start planting. Because mid-November, they will plant in the western regions of South Africa. This is also something that we are lucky upon, because we are hit by the snow at a time where it's a downturn really for major summer grains and the oilseeds. And I think as the snow melts, and all of that will enhance soil moisture, and possibly that may end up being a bit positive for the next season. We are heading toward the La Nina induced season, which we hope that will bring sufficient rainfall, and that will be a positive break from the difficult season that we are closing.
All right, Mr. Sihlobo, thank you so much for your time. And as you say, it's going to now, be the time to really try and work towards, safeguarding some of those who are really vulnerable here. You think about livestock, you think about, these small farming communities that really for them, this is everything when it comes to keeping their heads above water. That was Wandile Sihlobo, Chief Economist from the Agricultural Business Chamber.